More promotion of the art of Daniel Dumile, aka MF Doom. I'd like to read out here some information about Doom, which I acquired from the Wikipedias. And in this upload here, the promotion is of the 1999 release Operation Doomsday, which was Doom's major breakthrough in the underground hip-hop world, and in my opinion, one of the most re-listenable and entertaining and impressive albums in the history of that particular form and of any genre in the 1990s. Few albums have been wanting to come back to it as this one. I felt the same way about Food, and this one's really creeping up the list to be right next to it, maybe even more satiating. Daniel Dumile was born in Hounslow, London, on July 13th, 1971, the son of a Trinidadian mother and a Zimbabwean father. He was the oldest of 5 children. According to Dumile, he was conceived in the United States and happened to be born in London because his mother was visiting family. As a child, Dumile moved with his family to Long Island, New York. He grew up in Long Beach, New York. He said he had no memory of his London childhood and his parents had no affiliation with British culture. However, he remained a British citizen, never gaining American citizenship. Dumile began DJing during the summer after 3rd grade. As a child, he was a fan and collector of comic books and earned the nickname Doom, a phonetic play on the name Dumile, among friends and family. As Zevlov X, Dumile formed the hip-hop group KMD in 1988 with his younger brother DJ Sob Rock and Rodan, who was later replaced by Onyx the Birthstone Kid. A&R representative Dante Ross learned of KMD through the hip-hop group 3rd Base and signed them to Elektra Records. Their recording debut came on 3rd Base's song The Gas Face on the Cactus album, followed in 1991 by their debut album Mr. Hood. Dumile performed the last verse on The Gas Face. According to Pete Nice's verse on the track, Dumile created the phrase. On April 23rd, 1993, just before the release of the second KMD album, Black Bastards, Subrock was struck by a car and killed while crossing the Long Island Expressway. Dumile completed the album alone over the course of several months, and it was announced with a release date of May 3rd, 1994. KMD was dropped by Elektra and the album went unreleased due to its controversial cover art, which featured a cartoon of a stereotypical Pickaninny or Sambo character being hanged. After his brother's death, Dumile retreated from the hip-hop scene from 1994 to 1997, living damn near homeless, walking the streets of Manhattan, sleeping on benches. In the late 1990s, he settled on Atlanta. He had moved to Georgia in the mid-90s. According to interviews with Dumile, he was recovering from his wounds and swearing revenge against the industry that so badly deformed him. Black Bastards had been bootlegged by that time, but was not officially released until 2000. In 1997 or 1998, Dumile began freestyling incognito at open mic events at the Neuroican Poets Cafe in Manhattan, obscuring his face by putting tights over his head. He turned this into a new identity, MF Doom, with a mask similar to that of Marvel Comics supervillain Dr. Doom. He later used a mask based on the character Maximus from the 2000 film Gladiator. Papito Garcia's Fondlem Records released Operation Doomsday, Dumile's first full-length LP as MF Doom, in 1999. Dumile's collaborators on Operation Doomsday included fellow members of the Monster Island Zaz collective, for which each artist took on the persona of a monster from the Godzilla films. Dumile went by the alias King Ghidorah, a three-headed golden dragon space monster modeled after King Ghidorah. The album's production sampled credit cartoons, including Fantastic Four. Dumile's lyrics are known for wordplay. Bradley and Dubois, describing Dumile as among the most enigmatic figures in hip-hop, wrote that Dumile's raspy baritone weaves an intricate web of allusions drawn from comic books and metaphysics, along with seeming nonsense and non-sequiturs. According to an obituary in The Ringer, his flow was loose and conversational, but delivered with technical precision, and his use of rhyme and meter eclipsed that of Big Pun and Eminem. Dumile's production work frequently incorporated samples and quotations from film. A review of Special Herbs Volumes 5 and 6 in CMJ New Music Monthly compared Dumile's beats to soul jazz. Dumile created the MF Doom character as an alter ego with a backstory he could reference in his music. The character combines elements from the Marvel Comics supervillain Dr. Doom, Destro, and the Phantom of the Opera. Like Dr. Doom and Phantom, Dumile referred to himself in the third person while in character. His signature mask was similar to that of Dr. Doom, who is depicted rapping on the cover of Dumile's 1999 debut album Operation Doomsday. Dumile wore the mask while performing and would not be photographed without it, except of short glimpses in videos and in earlier photos of KMD. Later versions of the mask were based on a prop from the 2000 film Gladiator. Academic Hershini Barner Young argued that by appropriating the Dr. Doom mask, Dumile positions himself as enemy, not only of the music industry but also of dominant constructions of identity that relegate him as a black man to second-class citizenship. DeMille sometimes sent stand-ins to perform in The Mask, which he saw as a logical extension of the concept, but angered audiences. DeMille initially claimed that he had lost weight and thus looked and sounded different. At a 2010 show in Toronto, an imposter was booed off stage before being replaced by DeMille. In an interview with The New Yorker, DeMille described himself as the writer and director of the character and that he might send a white dude next. Whoever plays the character plays the character. In November 2019, during his performance at the Adult Swim Festival, electronic artist Flying Lotus announced that he would be joined on stage by DeMille. Instead, the masked figure who appeared on stage was revealed to be comedian Hannibal Buress. DeMille's involvement in the prank has not been confirmed. DeMille is considered one of the most celebrated and influential musicians in hip-hop. The English musician Tom York, who collaborated with DeMille on 2 occasions, wrote, "He was a massive inspiration to so many of us. He changed things. For me, the way he put words was often shocking in its genius, using stream of consciousness in a way I'd never heard before." Stereogum, reviewing Operation Doomsday on its 20th anniversary, noted DeMille's formative influence on younger rappers. EL-P of Run the Jewels described him as a writer's writer, while Q-Tip called him your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. In short, MF Doom is one on the short list of, well, you could say he's one of the most lauded artists in the history of this particular genre, and one of the artists in the genre whom I've been most drawn to. Perhaps it's a shared fascination with comic books, and in particular, I've always had a great fondness for supervillains. One of the great project and opuses I'd love to do one day is actually this great saga based around a group of supervillains in a way. It's worth talking about another time, perhaps. And MF Doom is one of the recording artists who makes me feel so validated and just certain that to pursue one's idiosyncrasies and impulses can turn out really, really well. I just need to make sure I don't eat quite as much as DeMille, although I'd have to admit it's incredibly tempting at times. Food is delicious, and, you know, turning the pages of the comic book with crusty, Cheeto dust fingers. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, but, in the long term, it's not a viable lifestyle choice. I suppose one can listen to Doom's releases and just fantasize about that rather than enacting upon it. That might be healthier. In any case, if you aren't sold on the man, you already are, and if you aren't, well, I really don't know what to tell you. I imagine it would speak for itself, surely. Hey, your loss.